Okay. I think we can begin then if that's all right with all of you. And again, I'd really appreciate and I'd really love to be able to see you all if that's all right with you guys. We're all here today to talk a little about emotional intelligence, and I'm pretty sure it's a familiar idea for all of you at least, right? There's a little of this word we've seen thrown around. And there's a lot. It's a very layered process. I think when I think about emotional intelligence, it's like it comes down to a very simple sentence, but it's also so layered, and there's so many skills, so many things to learn, and it's almost like a process more than a journey, because it's you never feel like I've learned enough. I know it, I'm emotionally intelligent enough. Um, okay, I'd like to first begin with a question, a simple one, which is, what do you do when you feel stressed out? I'd love to hear all of your coping techniques, right? What do you do when you go through that emotion of stress, say before exams or before a performance, before going on stage? Um, on my end, before I went into interviews and things like that. How do you think? Maybe you could unmute your camera or unmute your mic or drop it in the chat box. A little about how I cope with stress on my end. I usually sleep. Not the best way, but that really helps when I'm very stressed. So I sleep to cope. Otherwise, when it comes from like a lot of work, I have a lot of things piled up, or I suddenly have too many deadlines to work through. That's when I make checklists. I sometimes get too much into the habit of checklists to the level that I have a running checklist at any given point of the day. So if you open my notes app, you will see there are like 5 things that I need to complete. But that's how I cope with stress, because at least it helps me feel like I've gotten something under control. I can do something about it. But how about you all? How do you cope with stress?
Hello, this is
Yes.
my another device from which I've joined. So my name is Krishna. I'm on the camera.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that. And yes, how do you cope with it then? How do you cope with stress? Would you like to share?
Yeah, I would like to share like when I cope with stress, I just divert my mind and I listen to good music. I
Hmm.
sing also.
And sorry, the last thing you said was?
I sing also some music.
Okay. Okay. Sounds lovely. It sounds like it sounds like distraction is one of our key ways to cope with stress, but it music and singing sounds like a good way. It does lead to some sense of catharsis. At least I'm able to vent out that emotion in some way. That sounds wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else? Anuradha, Kushangi. Yes, please go ahead, Kushangi.
I usually draw when I'm stressed, but sometimes I get stressed by drawing because I can't figure out what to draw.
Yeah, I hear you so well on that. It makes so much sense, Kushangi. Again, it sounds like a very beautiful form of catharsis to like draw and get that energy out. But then I know what you're talking about, because sometimes, when I'm overwhelmed, I read, I go on those sprees when I read too much, right? And then someday I have a stressor coming up, and I feel like I need to read to like de-stress and escape into another world, and then I'm stressing about what to read. So I've gone through like 5 bookstagram pages, and I'm like, which one to read? I need something, someone tell me what to read. So I know what you're talking about. It's a nice cycle that sometimes you get caught into. Well, thank you for sharing that, Kushangi. Anyone else? How do you cope with stress? Aril, Anuradha, I think you can also answer. That's absolutely
Yeah, I will listen to music, listening music.
okay. Okay,
It
okay.
might sound weird, but I usually remove it out with anger.
Sorry, Aril, you remove it off as anger.
Yeah, like for example, if I have a stress for exams, I just go, just get angry. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
yeah. I hear you. I hear you. And I feel like both of them are in some way relatable, right? Music, I feel like everyone sort of finds their solace in music to like cope with stress. But I hear you, Aril. Sometimes it just comes across as anger because I am stressed and I feel so out of control that I get angry. I'm frustrated about not being able to control things or do something about them in this moment. So I get angry. And it sounds very, again, in some way, I feel like all of us may have done that once. I'm pretty sure a little bit of it, all of us do relate to that, right? And I'm not sure if we notice that the emotion is common for all of us. We feel stressed out. That's the common emotion. But you see how differently we do something about it, or how differently it's expressed and processed. For Aril, it comes off as anger. It comes off as a third emotion altogether, like a different emotion. Kushangi, in that process, maybe gets confused also. She gets more stressed and she gets more confused, right? Um, I become, I think Anuradha, me and Trishna in some way, we also deal with it in a very indirect way, that we sort of sleep, or we listen to music, or maybe even Kushangi, like she draws. It's a very indirect way of distracting or like getting the emotion out in another way. So you see, one emotion can be processed and experienced so differently that I think in my head it would make sense when I say that emotional intelligence is necessary, because there are too many ways we are all different even with the same emotion, right? So you see how it makes sense that I might just want to understand what to do about this, the same thing leading to 10 different outcomes for me. Okay. Again, I'm really appreciative of all of you taking the time to respond, and I hope we keep that up. Um, right. Now, I want to do like a quick activity, and for that, I might just ask you all to grab like a piece of paper and pen, if that's all right. You can take like that minute. If you have colors, even better, right? That's like the icing on the cake, but I think just a pen and paper would also work. And maybe you could draw like a rectangle or like a circle on it, like a little relatively decent sized. Is that all right? Can I ask you all to please do that? You can just give me a thumbs up or something once you have the materials with you. Thank you, Kushangi. I see Kushangi being ready. I saw Trishna also grab like a book, so I'm assuming Trishna's also ready. Yeah, okay, sounds great. How about the others? Aril, Anuradha, any indicator? Okay, I'm hoping we have it. And I just want you all to take like a minute to go through this picture. Now, this is called the Wheel of Emotions. It was a very well researched wheel that pretty much everyone in the field of mental health uses, right? This is like our go-to picture to understand what we're feeling. And now I see that there are a lot of words there. So maybe we can stick to like the second circle, the second last circle there. And maybe we could pick up the emotions that you're feeling right now. Even if you want to go to the outside, the outermost circle, that also works. But whatever works for you, I want you to like take like a minute to maybe see what emotions you're feeling right now from this. It could be 2, 3, 4, whatever, and work out something like this. Now, this is how I was feeling this morning when I made it, right? So I filled my rectangle with the sections of emotions that I was feeling. So the most outstanding emotion for me was excited, because uh, at the end of the day, this is a new opportunity for me, and I was really excited to figure out how this works out for me. So that's how I felt. A chunk of it was excited. I was also a little nervous, I'll be honest, because again, this is something new. This is something exciting and as nerve-wracking. And I was also a little content because, hey, I was doing something new. You see how the same thing led me to three different emotions. So that's how I was feeling, and that's how I colored my rectangle of emotions. So if that's like my feeling box, that's how it was filled this morning. So maybe you guys can take like a couple of minutes to think about what emotions come forth. You could leave like a section of that rectangle or circle out if it feels like I don't know what's happening, right? I could just make a question mark and leave it. But maybe like a few words that stand out that might just explain what I'm feeling right now. You can take again a few minutes to figure that out and drop me like a thumbs up when you feel like I've gotten it figured out. I could play a little music if that helps you figure this out. So let me know if the music disturbs, I can switch it off. Are we done? Can I, or can you like drop in like the number of minutes you might want, a minute or two more? Maybe if that helps you like sort of bring it to a conclusion. Okay, thank you, Kushangi. How about the others? Okay, Trishna's also given me a thumbs up. Thank you for that. How about the rest of us? Where are we? Anuradha, Aril, are you also doing the activity? Can I get like a little bit of an indicator? Okay, I think that's all right. You can take your time to sort of figure that out. But would either of you like to share, Kushangi and Krishna? I mean, it's Krishna, it's absolutely optional, but maybe if you'd like to just name out the emotions at least, like this is what I feel like I felt.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Please go ahead.
first of all, I don't know how much this emotion is there, like how much percent now I'm feeling, but I'm
Yeah.
feeling this emotions right now. First is nervous.
Hmm. Yeah.
Second is hopeful.
Okay.
Third is eager.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds wonderful. These three? Okay. I love that. I love that mix. It sounds like such a I don't know. I mean, when you named those emotions together, Trishna, it just seemed like such a nice. I mean, it is a little that nervous bit is a little nervous yet, but the other, like the mix of it sounded so beautiful. I feel like I want to be on that end of that emotion also on some day. So thank you so much for sharing that, Trishna. Um, I see someone else is also dropped. Aril also says she's done. Okay, great. Kushangi, Aril, either of you, would you want to go ahead?
Right now I'm feeling a little amazed. That is because I have also taken up an interest in psychology, and seeing you and hearing you talk about your experience for even that 1 year, I feel like I'm amazed by how much you accomplished in just a single year.
That's thank you so much, Kushangi. That means a lot. And in some way I'm sort of it's so good to know that there's someone out there who feels that way about this field. And again, at this point, I'd love to connect with you on that capacity also. If you'd ever feel like I need someone in that field, I know. please feel free to get in touch with me, right? I could drop in my email ID if you'd want. But yes, thank you. And any other emotions that stood out, Kushangi?
Well, other than that, I was nervous as well and a little guilty because I feel like I haven't been studying a lot.
Right, right. I hear you on that emotion, I think. And guilt is the very, I mean, again, I feel like that's a conversation I'd like to have with you all with a little time, right? Because of just how powerful guilt can be. It's a very overbearing an emotion when not handled well. It sort of leaves you very unmotivated and also leaves you feeling very bad about yourself. But thank you so much for sharing that, Kushangi. And I hope we get the time to at some point like process that guilt also, right? Thank you. Aril, would you like to go ahead?
Yeah. So I could tell you, like, right now I'm peaceful
Okay.
because there's like my heart. There's nothing to hear. Everything's just like quiet in my house. So that's
Mm.
why.
Yeah, yeah. Sounds wonderful. I feel like it's such a good feeling to have when you're peaceful. It's just so nice and calming and relaxing. Sounds wonderful. Any other emotion?
I'm enraged too, 10% today because I might have broken my jaw because of someone.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I got hurt really badly. So and happy is 30%. So I'm just happy.
Okay. Okay. Sounds wonderful, Aril. In some way, it's I admire your ability to be able to feel happiness and peaceful while also being hurt in some way, right? And I really wish you a very quick recovery. I hope it recovers well and you're like as feeling as good as ever. But do take care and yes, all the best on your recovery journey. Thank you so much to you all for sharing this. Thank you. Anuradha, would you like to give this a shot or would you? Yeah.
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 I feel about my daughter. I feel frustrated because previously she was studying, but now she has no focus on studying. I feel frustrated all the time,
Yeah.
and fear is and fear.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
when you name those two emotions together, Anuradha, it makes me wonder how much they're related also. It's because I'm afraid and I feel so out of control that I am frustrated, like do something about it. But because nothing in some ways happening, I'm not feeling satisfied with what is happening. I'm more fearful. And in some way, I'm caught up in that cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that, Anuradha. Thank you all so much for sharing this. I appreciate you showing your vulnerability and sharing your emotions here. And I hope we respect that, right? As each of us brings this part of ourselves here, we make sure that we respect the other person and we also maintain that confidentiality that what's spoken about here stays here. So we know this is a safe group for us to stick around with. Okay. Uh, Thank you for taking that moment. And I feel like I at this point is a good time to just talk about these three factors about emotions because as you took a minute to think about what you're feeling right now, you would realize that they serve a very important function. Your emotions are constantly telling you what's happening on the outside and also what's happening on the inside at a physical level also and at like in your mind. I know I need to be doing something about my situation when I'm feeling stressed, that I need to be taking action. Stress is an indicator that action is needed here, right? So happiness means that I need to enjoy this moment. I need to cherish this moment. So my emotions serve a very important function to me. In some way, they also uh, base my survival on it, right? In certain situations, my fear of hurting myself, say near boiling water, is what protects me quite literally from getting myself hurt. So they do serve a very important function, and I think primarily they can make or break. I feel like that's a conversation again I want to have in a bit, but your emotions can really change what happens in a situation and if that makes you or if that breaks you. One emotion expressed inappropriately or in a way that doesn't sit well with the situation and a lot of things could go wrong. It could just be like a nice downhill spiral from there. But one thing you do right, one emotion hits in that right place and you're able to express it right, it changes the entire situation. You could be then just like climbing this wall with such ease that you'd not know what happened right there. So they can definitely make you or break you. And it's a very, again, that's a conversation I feel like we'll be constantly having over the next few weeks. Also, I think we started with just the idea of how emotions can be expressed and experienced very differently. Just stress, um, like someone said, I think nervousness, they're all experienced and expressed so differently and also mixed together, right? It's never just like one emotion I'm feeling. So it's like a very nice khichdi that I make with these emotions, and then they get expressed differently for each of us. Okay. I have another quick activity for you all, if it's okay. I want you all to take, again, maybe a piece of paper, or maybe you can have a calculator near you on your phone, on your laptop, or something if that's more accessible. But I want you all to rate yourself on these questions from 1 to 3. When I say 1, that means I rarely feel this way, right? When I say 2, that is I sometimes feel this way. 3 is I almost always feel this way. This happens with me almost always, right? Um, okay. So let's give this a shot, right? Are we okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Sounds great. I'm just going to read out the sentence, and you can take your time to see if you feel that way rarely, sometimes, or almost always, and give a score accordingly. 1 for rarely, 2 for sometimes, and 3 for always. And if you can like then add it up at the end of all of the questions, there are 3 more in the next slide, and then just drop in the number, the score, if you whatever you got. Okay. So the first one is I'm able to always motivate myself to do difficult tasks. Where do you feel you are on it? Do I rarely feel this way? Do I sometimes feel this way? Or do I always feel this way? Right? Can I move to the next one? Okay. I'm an excellent listener. Do I rarely feel like I'm an excellent listener? Do I sometimes feel like I'm an excellent listener? Do I almost always feel like I'm an excellent listener? The third one, I'm good at adapting and mixing with a variety of people. Okay. I can always motivate myself even when I feel low. Does that happen rarely? Does that happen sometimes? Does that always happen? Fifth one, I rarely worry about my work or life in general. Work, school, college, academics, could be anything really. But I rarely worry about work or life in general. Have we given a score to all these 5? Can I change the slide? I can see Aril and Trishna at this point. So could I get like a thumbs up? Okay, yes, Kushangi is given a thumbs up. Can I change Aril and Trishna? Do you want me to stop, Aril?
I'm not done.
Okay, take your time. Please take your time. That's all right. Done? Thanks, Aril. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay. I suppress my emotions. I don't feel motivated to do many things. And the last one is I'm not able to see things from other perspectives. I'm not able to see things from the other person's perspectives. Once you're done, I would like for you all to add up the first 5 in one place and these last 3 in another place, right? So my scores for the first 5 I add up separately, and I add up the scores for the last 3 in another place. Done? Okay, then maybe you could subtract it, right? You could subtract your score. Say in the first one I got a 15 here, and here I got a 4. So I do 15 minus 4. That's 11. Yes. Did I make sense? Am I making sense here? Add up the first 5 separately, add up the last 3 separately, and then subtract the two. Are we done? Do we have a score with us? Okay. Would you like to drop in your scores? Is that all right? Maybe you could put them in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and tell me your scores.
My final score is 1.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Trishna.
I got a 2.
Okay. Thank you, Kushangi. Alan, have you done this? Were you able to get your score? Your score is 3. Okay, thank you. Anuradha says her score is 3. How about the others? I think there's just Aaron left. I feel like Aaron is typing, but I didn't get it. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I think I did. Okay, Aaron got an 8. Sounds good. Okay, now your score. This is your current, in some way, relative emotional intelligence score, right? How am I with my emotions currently? And the highest that could be is 11. And that's what we are striving for, right? And say somewhere above 8 is a great score. It's like a good score, right? Somewhere between 4 to 8 is an okay score. But if I'm scoring below that, then maybe I am struggling with my emotions at this point. Maybe I am a little overwhelmed in handling my emotions and handling the emotions of those around me. And maybe I might just need to sit with my emotions a little more. I might need to work on them a little more, right? Now I have like multiple such questionnaires with me, which at least I enjoy doing these a lot, right? These are like those BuzzFeed quizzes. So I really enjoy taking my time to answer these. And they give you a little insight about how you're doing, right? They make you think about it, like, hey, am I actually suppressing my emotions? How do I feel about that? And again, if it's a low score, please don't worry about it. There's pretty much, that's why we're here. We're here to like work on those scores and to probably build them up to a level where on the last day when we do this test again, I feel so much better when my score comes, right? I know that I'm doing better there. So thank you again for taking your time to answer these. I think now is a good time to just introduce what emotional intelligence is. And keeping all those fancy definitions aside, all it means is my ability to deal with my emotions and those of others in the most helpful and mindful of ways. I can't not be feeling anything, right? We are, in general, humans are social, humans are emotional. We have a lot of emotions, which is why those are going to be a part of our life. But I just want to be able to deal with them in a better way, deal with the emotions of the others in a better way, so that I know I'm in control, right? It's not my emotions that are running me, but it's me who's letting them get some space to come out, right? That's pretty much what emotional intelligence is. And again, I don't want to be sitting with this theory a lot. I'm pretty sure you'll get that along the way, but that's what emotional intelligence is. And now I want to take like a minute to understand why do we need to talk about this, because I want you all to maybe think about an example when your feelings or your emotions interfered with your goals or your relationships or led to some conflict, where your emotions, because of how they were experienced and expressed, something went wrong, something that I preferred should not have happened, right? I can start with my example. A couple of years ago, it was a rough phase of mine. I was having a good amount of anxiety and stress because of a lot of things, and I was supposed to be traveling to Bangalore for this submission of mine. I had to be there for that submission and that viva and everything. And because of that stress and anxiety, and I was so overwhelmed, I missed my flight. And it was a whole thing altogether. I missed a flight. I needed to rebook my sessions. I had like a solid breakdown because I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing in life? I'm missing flights because of my anxiety. What is really happening? And it was a little bit of like a rough phase. And it had a little bit of consequence. Again, I had very supportive people around me, so they really helped me like brave through it. I was never blamed for this, but there was a lot of emotions happening before, and because things went wrong, there were a lot of emotions happening after: guilt, regret, anger at myself, a lot of things. So I think this is one example that comes to mind where my emotions did interfere with my goals, or led to problems just because I didn't know what to do with them. I did not handle them at the right time and in the right way. Is there someone who'd like to share something like this when your emotions did sort of interfere and things did go downhill? Again, this is a little vulnerable, so I'd absolutely, it'll be okay if you didn't want to, but maybe a little bit of a hint could be all right, or I could skip. Yes.
I actually recently stopped talking to a friend only because I could not convey to her how she had hurt me. And I feel really bad that I could not tell her why and what happened. I just sort of stopped talking to her and I feel bad, but I don't know how to like unsolve it anymore.
Yeah. It just feels like I didn't get the closure that she and I both probably deserved because of how things were. But my hurt and my inability to do something about it led me to be in this headspace where I'm still thinking about it. I'm in some way still not over it then. I still don't feel happy with the decision of stopping talking to her because I'm still stuck there. I hear you, Kushangi. Thank you for sharing that. Um, Someone else? Anyone else would like to mention how their emotions did interfere?
Yeah, so I would like to share one incident. It was like uh, for 4 to 5 years ago when I was in 8th standard. And then I had one festival going on in my house, and I was in my grandparents' house. So
Yeah.
I think when my results came of my tuitions, my father was asking about the results.
Yeah.
And then there one dance program was going on. So then my father asked, "Where are my results?" So I told like it was under the table or something. I kept in the cupboard. So he was like very angry and told me, "Sit stay there only. Don't go anywhere. I want to come and talk to you about this whole because I got less marks there."
Yeah.
So after that, then like everybody start asking me, "Come, you are very good at dance." As I like dancing, you can like come go and dance. I was very like एकदम sad, and I was really very depressed at the moment. Not exactly depressed, but very sad, and because like my father was going to shout at me, and he was going to yell at me like, "What marks have you scored in this test?" And then many emotions were just passing by me. So at that time, I couldn't, properly, enjoy my dance at the moment for the festival. So it was very sad for me.
Yeah. I hear you, Trishna. It actually becomes really hard to compartmentalize our emotions. They do end up something that happens somewhere else ends up affecting me somewhere else. It can't. It's a common struggle. It becomes really hard to separate that and then be in the present moment because I'm so caught up in everything that's happening in my head. But thank you so much for sharing that, Trishna. Arul, Anuradha, would you like to share?
I am frustrated about my daughter has not focusing in the studies.
Yeah.
That is very sad for me.
Yeah.
Previously, she used to study well.
Mm.
I don't know how she missed her focus. That is
Yeah.
the main frustrated thing for me.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, Anuradha, if that frustration also affected your relation with your daughter.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, it's that emotion of mine has ended up interfering with my relationship. I'm not able to understand what do I do with my own emotion here. Even though I'm wanting the well-being of my daughter, I don't know what to do about it. Thank you for sharing that, Anuradha. Arun, would you like to talk about it? You can say no and that'll be all right.
Miss, it is actually about my grandmother's passing away that I was really sad about.
Yeah, I hear you.
So like the day before she passed away, I was like quite rude with her because I might have eaten all her chocolates.
Huh, huh. Yeah.
So so then later on I realized I shouldn't have. Then later on I realized I shouldn't have been so rude with her and stuff because she was the closest to me. Like really, she raised me up for 10 years.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why. That's
Yeah.
why really, I still clearly remember her.
Yeah, I hear you, Adil. That sounds really hard for you. It must have been so upsetting to know that, hey, I did this without even realizing. And I can only imagine the kind of emotions you must have felt even after that, Adil. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. It's very brave of you to do that. And yeah, I hope your grandmother's in a happy place today. But yes, thank you for sharing that. Um, I think just to like change the whole dynamic a little, I also want to know one time when your feelings actually helped you with your goals or relationships or led to some improvement. It led to something positive in your life, right? My emotions helped me. I'll give you an example again of my own. I like to talk a lot if you didn't notice. But again, back when I was in college, we have dissertation presentation. We have to do like a research and we have to present that, right? And it's sort of like a big deal for us in our masters. It's a relatively big deal because it carries a little a good chunk of marks. And I was at that place of nervousness plus confidence because it was my research and I knew what I'd done and I was happy with it. But I was also nervous because there's this external sitting right there and I know she's done her PhD. So she's going to be having a lot of questions for me. And it was a nice mix of being, oh my God, what on earth am I going to say on that stage? And also like, no, okay, I figured this out. I've read this presentation. I made it myself, right? So I went on stage and somewhere that mix helped me because my nervousness and my anxiety there made me practice so much that on stage I was able to figure it out. I was in some way it was automatic because I'd done it so many times. I was prepared so well that it happened. And my confidence helped me take her constructive criticism. At the end, she had a few critical things to say that maybe that could have been done better or that could have changed. And I knew that she came from a good place. That did not feel like an attack to me at that point because I was relatively more confident with what I had also done. I knew she's talking about my improvement and I was grateful to her for that. So I think that way, my anxiety and my nervousness plus my confidence really helped me deal with that situation in a good way. I still feel good about how I handled that constructive criticism that she gave at the end. Um, and anything that you would like to share about this, where your feelings did actually help you, or they played like a positive role?
I would like to share one experience.
Sure, Trishna.
Yeah, so one day, like when I was in college in my 11th standard, so I was like, there was one personality contest in our college. So, like, it was, yeah, so we had one freshers meeting. So, in that, we had one part as a personality contest. So, from our class only, like, teacher choose one or two students for the, as in, to show their personality. And even I was selected because I had a very good reputation in front of my teachers. So, like, I was very, scared at the first moment because I had never participated in any of such competitions. So I was very scared. Then I practiced and I practiced. And at the last moment, I was so scared, like I got ready. And even I went on the stage also. We had one the ramp of the sort. And after that, I was standing and one girl was before me and she had completed. Then I was very scared, like what to say. Then I was confident at myself, like I will do it and I can do it. And that confidence only helped me, like I did very nicely. Though I wasn't selected or the first or the second princess, but I was very happy, like I did it the best at the first go.
Yeah, sounds wonderful, Trishna. And I think that's the thing, right? Because I felt good with what I did, the result did not matter at all. I felt good about myself. I knew in that moment I was successful. I did my thing right. And That really sounds wonderful. It's so interesting to see how anxiety or nervousness can play in so many different ways. That is one emotion that can really just make or break for all of us. But thank you for sharing that, Krishna. Aril, Anuradha, Kushangi, would you like to go ahead? Would you like to give this a shot?
Nothing.
Actually, I don't really have like a specific scenario, but usually it's like my friends when they like ask me for help in something and they like tell me a situation or something that they are having problems with. And when I think of it as me in that problem and I think about my emotions, I can help them better. And they usually end up feeling better when I tell them that you can do this and you can do that. So I'm actually happy that I can help my friends by doing something like this. Although it's not that huge or anything, I still
Yeah.
feel a little proud about that.
Yeah, I think that's really huge, honestly, Kushangi, because I think you just described empathy to me. And honestly, there's nothing beyond empathy that you could gift to another person. There is nothing. Just that feeling that someone, after talking to me, felt a little understood. That's really the only thing that's rooting me to this field. I'm doing psychology for just that one thing because it's actually such a wonderful feeling to know that, hey, someone spoke to me and I was able to help them figure something out. They felt a little better talking to me. And that sounds wonderful, Kushangi. I see how empathy is a strength to you. That in itself is just a strength to you. Thank you for sharing that. Um, we have Aril left. Aril, do you want to give this a shot? Does something come to mind?
I couldn't understand the topic, so could you repeat it?
Yeah, sure. So the topic is basically if there's ever been any incident in your life where your emotions helped you, where they played a good role, they played a positive role. Sometimes either when you were kind to your friends and your friends started to like you better, or they were also able to help you in return at some point. Maybe that way with your parents, family, something like that.
Miss, this was like when I was 5 years old, like quite small. So like I might have helped a child who had fallen down on the sand, and he was like injured little bit, like kind of a crack something,
Yeah.
and he was like crying. So I kind of helped him to come, and I just made him quiet. I don't know how because he was like completely sad, okay, and I was in just a happy mood.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
made him. That's what made him calm down. And I took him back to Spain.
Yeah. Okay.
So
That
I really that might have changed him. I don't know if it might has. So that's the
yeah.
thing.
Right, that's actually a wonderful thing to hear, Aril. You're just helping that kid, and then your happiness being contagious, that it helped him also feel better, that you were able to quiet him down and make him feel better. Again, that's like a wonderful skill to have. It's such a beautiful way of, using your emotions and helping others with it. Thank you for sharing that, Aril. Thank you so much.
Most welcome.
Okay. Now, given the time, I want to check in with you all. I have one activity, like one last activity, and then we could close, or if it feels like, okay, I'm done, I need to close, we could close right now. So, can you give me an indicator? Do we want to do another activity? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Okay, Kushangi says she'd like to do that. Krishna also says, okay. Adil, are you okay with one more activity? Okay, we'll keep it a little short, okay? Right. In this activity, I want you all to write a note to your emotions, right? Now, you can select any emotions that in the previous one, we recognize that, hey, I'm feeling these emotions, right? Someone said amazed, someone said nervous, someone said happy, someone said peaceful. So we recognize so many emotions that we were feeling right now. I want you to select any one and write a note to that emotion, right? Maybe you can ask the emotion to, hey, don't come so often, right? I don't like you. Or maybe you can write that, hey, visit me more because I really like how I feel when I'm with you. You can tell whatever you like to that emotion. Again, I'll give you an example to what I wrote to my emotion. This is again what I wrote today morning. I wrote to my excitement because that was the strongest emotion, and I said, "Thank you for visiting me. I really enjoy having you around because when I'm excited, I feel very energetic and positive. I feel productive, and the excitement helps me know that I can do things. So I feel very competent also. That hey, this excitement is pushing me. I feel motivated. So that's what I wrote, and I said, "Hey, I hope you keep visiting me." So would any of you like to try to write a note, a short note to your emotion? You can choose any emotion that you like, which you were feeling, and write a little something to it. How did it feel to feel that emotion? What does it make you um, do or think about when you feel that emotion? Am I making sense? Is this making sense?
Miss, can I tell you one thing?
Yeah.
Miss, actually, my anger is not like completely kind of destruction type. It's
Hmm.
like also it's mixed with excitement also. My
Okay.
anger.
Okay. Okay.
That's the
Um. Sorry.
That's it. Excitement and anger. What could it be, Miss? Excitement and anger mixed together.
It's a very interesting question, honestly, Aril. I'm not sure if I have like a word to describe that emotion. Um, but maybe we make our own word, right? Let's try to mix excitement plus anger. What word comes to mind? Should I call it angerment? Because there's excitement plus anger. I mix it and I make it angerment. Does that make sense? Maybe you can make your own word, Aril, because again, it's your emotion and you're allowed to name it whatever you want. And yeah, maybe you could write something to that emotion. Maybe, in fact, in Aril, I would like to hear more from you what that emotion makes you
I
feel.
think my dad said it's euphoria.
Sorry?
Miss, I think my dad said it's euphoria.
Yeah, euphoria is actually a very beautiful word. And maybe it does describe it. I'm not sure if I would say euphoria has a little bit of anger, which is why I want to know, Aril, what you call anger. But okay, I think you do feel euphoric, and euphoric is I think it's the emotion to have. It's an amazing emotion. It feels really good to be euphoric. And yeah, maybe I would like to discuss that more with you sometime soon. But yeah, would you like to write a note to euphoria then? Would you like to write a note to that emotion? Okay, sounds good. Take your time. Drop me a thumbs up when you're all done, right? It could just be one line, two lines. I wrote something that came to my mind in that moment, but it could be whatever you feel like you want to write. Okay, I've seen 3 thumbs up. Anuradha, are you also done? Are you also taking part in the activity? Okay. I think either ways, that's all right. If someone wants to share what they wrote, they could. And again, this is actually completely optional, right? So you give me. Okay, thank you for showing that, Aril. I'm sorry, I don't think I'm going to be able to read that. So if you want to like read it out for me, please do that. I'd really like to hear from you. Hmm.
Miss, just a second.
Sure.
Dadu, please, after read this. Dear Euphoria, it's nice that you come and go. Stay with me forever and help me do the impossible, like studies, stunts, and other activities.
Sounds wonderful. That's so well written, Aril. Thank you so much for sharing that. It sounds really good. It it's such a nice, simple request that you have. Like, stay with me, no, help me with the impossible. It's also funny how you've written studies is the impossible, but I'm sure you will manage that, Aril. And I hope Euphoria does visit you often or it decides to stay around. Thank you for sharing that. Um, Anyone else would like to give that a shot, or you can just give me a thumbs up and I'll move ahead. A thumbs up means we can go ahead.
So I would just like to read it. It's just a small note. Dear nervousness, do keep visiting me when I'm learning new things, but don't come in excess. A little is good. You had helped me as well as got me some bad times, so maintain some distance with me.
Yeah. Sounds wonderful, Krishna. I acknowledge the good and the bad. So I'm like, you can come, but don't come too close. I'd like to maintain that distance with you. Wonderful. Sounds great. Thank you for that. Since Kushangi said a thumbs up, I think we can go ahead then. Thank you all for sharing this. I really appreciate you all taking that vulnerability, really. And then I think I just come to the last question, definitely the last question, it, I think at least, which is right now, how emotionally aware are you feeling? On a scale of 0 to 10, if 10 is I know what I'm feeling and I'm feeling good about knowing how I'm feeling. Maybe I would say at this point I'm like at an 8. Like I feel good. I feel emotionally aware. I feel like I know what's happening inside of me, and I like knowing that. Where do you think you all are? Would you like to give that a number? How emotionally aware do you feel right now? Again, you could drop it on in the chat box also, or you could like unmute yourself or mention it, or you don't even have to do that if you don't feel like that's something I want to do right now.
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Sounds good, Aril. Thank you. Trishna says a 9. That's also great. Would Kushangi or Anuradha like to answer? Again, it's absolutely optional. Anuradha says a 7, which is good, and Kushangi says a 5. Okay, sounds great. Thank you all so much for sharing that also. And I hope, again, this is something that I would like to do at the end of each of our sessions in the coming weeks, right? When if you were to join for the workshop, I mean, for the summer camp, we would be doing this check-in every single day to know how aware am I feeling? Am I improving on my awareness with my emotions? Because that's pretty much the goal. And that brings me to what our goals would be like or what we'd be doing in the coming 5 weeks. Now, there's a lot of words thrown around here. They sound big words, they're fancy words, but they're really very simple. Okay, people wanted to show off their English. We'll take it. So we'll be talking about the 5 components of EI, which is self-awareness. I think we touched a little on self-awareness today, right? We became a little more aware of our emotions. We'll also learn how to regulate our emotions, motivate ourselves a little better, learn empathy, which I think I would like to hear from all of you also, especially Kushangi, also how she's learned to develop that in herself, and maybe a little bit of social skills so that we can manage other people's emotions also. And we'll talk about 3 ways of achieving emotional intelligence, which is through mindfulness, resilience, and compassion. Now, this is like the broad headings that I could remember that I put in here. There's so much more. I have a lot of activities, a lot of art-based ones, so many more quizzes, discussions, questions, a lot of things that I'd like to do with you all. And I'm really looking forward to these 3 weeks because it seems like it's going to be a lot of fun, at least from my end. So that's a little about what we're going to be doing. But if there are any specific questions about what it's going to look like, please feel free to drop them here and we'll pick them up, of course. But that's like a gist of the next 3 weeks for us. And that's it. Now I'm done. I would like to hear from you all what it felt like. Does this seem useful to you? Is there does this feel like something that you would want to know about? Does the topic of emotional intelligence feel useful?
So at first I felt like it was a bit first I thought it would be a bit theoretical because before the session also I attended 1 or 2 sessions of like emotions, how to handle your emotions. So it was a bit theoretical. It had group sessions, but it wasn't as like so much. It had no activities or this. Um so like I felt it very nice, and I'm very excited to join this workshop. And I think it's going to be a fantastic session.
Thank you, Trishna. That sounds wonderful. I'm glad to hear that you like the activities. But and honestly, I'll do my best to uphold that. I'll do my best to bring in as many activities as we can, because that's really what you need to be knowing. The theory, I'm sure a textbook would give to you. But yes, thank you so much for that feedback. Would anyone else like to just mention what you thought about this topic? Does it feel useful to you?
Yes, I think that this is a very useful topic, not only as an individual, but also for the people around us. Because if we do not manage our emotions, it affects them as well. And if they don't know how to manage their emotions, maybe we can help them with it as well.
Yeah. Oh yes, yes. It's such a nice, again, a nice thing that you had said there, Kushangi. I mean, in my head, I was thinking, yeah, when people also don't imagine and don't manage their emotions, well, it affects me. But I love how you said that at least I could help them with that. That's what you'd want to be doing. It's wonderful to hear that, Kushangi, and I think it definitely is, one of those Salman Khan dialogue sort of a thing, I help myself and then I help 3 people and then they help 3 people sort of a thing, because you learn something for yourself and it does sort of trickle down to those around you. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that feedback. Um, Anyone else would like to say something? Yes,
Yeah,
Arun.
miss, so it seemed important to me because I wanted to understand how people feel and how they think about me or other people who are in their surroundings. So
Yeah.
because sometimes they can become really unpredictable people, like kind. So I want to learn more about them. That's
Yeah.
why that's why it's so important to me.
Yeah. Sounds wonderful, Aril. It's so interesting to see you want to, again, more than me, it feels like I want to know the people around me. I really want to know how they think and how they work. And honestly, um, our uniqueness is very beautiful in some ways, but I think when it comes down to fundamental things like emotions and our physiology, we're more similar than we'd like to think. So this journey is going to definitely help us understand ourselves better, and that's going to leave you with so much more understanding for other people also. So I hope we're definitely able to help you on that journey, Aaron. Thank you for that feedback. Um, would you like to mention something, Anuradha, before we go ahead?
Yeah, it's very useful for me.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Um, Genuinely, the last question, guys. Is there any feedback that you'd like to give about the teaching, about the delivery of things? Is there something that we can do about that? Like the teaching with the interaction, the class part of it, was that done okay? Would you like me to do things differently? Because I am your facilitator. I'm not going to be calling myself a teacher. I am not a teacher in any means. I'd like to be a collaborator. I'd like to be a facilitator. I'd like to be a co-learner. So is there anything that this co-learner of yours can do better? Any feedback for me? Um, I'm going to hope that means that it was okay and not that I need to change it entirely, because if I need to change it entirely, then I'd really like to know what different do I do. So anything over there would really be appreciated. And even if not, I think that's all right. Again, as long as there is actually something that you'd want me to change, I'd really appreciate you all to like let me know. I want to grow in this space. I want to be someone you'd like to talk to. Otherwise, it'd be like a whole moot point. So yeah, if there's anything that you'd like for me to do differently, please do let me know. I can do something. I can drop my email ID here, because if it feels like, what would I say here, in a group setting, feel free to contact me on my email ID. And I am always willing to reply or make this better. Yes, that's my email ID. Reach out to yashi@gmail.com. And yes, that's really where I end my rant for today. Thank you all so much for joining in. I really appreciate you taking this time out on a Sunday morning to sit with me and hear me out. Thank you so much. And in case you are looking for registrations, please do ping the number, the first skill number, the person who had sent you the link. You can ping them. If it doesn't work out, you can always email me about that for the registrations. We start from tomorrow, same time, 11 a.m. If I'm not wrong, we'll confirm the timing, but as far as I know, it is 11 a.m. And yes, I'm really looking forward to an amazing 3 weeks with you all. Thank you so much again for joining in. And I hope we stay in touch either ways, even if I see you tomorrow onwards or not. But yes, thank you and have a great day ahead.
I actually have a question.
Sure.
Are the timings flexible? Because I may have classes during the morning period of the day.
I'll have to get in touch about that, Kushangi. Is there like a specific timing that you would prefer more?
I'm not sure right now because we get like the weekly timetable usually by Sunday noon. So I am
Okay.
not sure today.
Okay. How about you do one thing again? You could, once you get your schedule for the week, you can ping me on my email ID or the number from which you got the link, and then we could figure something out. Let's hope we are able to accommodate that.
Yeah, that works. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much for that. Anything else from any other person's end, or please feel free to like leave the meeting also. We're done here. Thank you so much.
Miss Levin is perfect
Thank
for
you so
me.
much. Yeah, like
Sorry,
I just
Aaron?
loved the session. So
Miss Levin is perfect for me actually.
Okay, sounds great, Aril. Trishna, I'm sorry, you were saying something.
yeah, so I just like loved the session, and I hope ahead of the all the sessions, like we'll have what this theory also, and as well as activities also. Because activities make it more interesting to learn.
Yes, absolutely, Trishna. And we'll do our best to do that. I'm really looking forward to meeting you from tomorrow onwards then. Thank you so much. Thank you all.